On this episode of Super Systems, we're on the Seoul subway in South Korea, where more than 7 million commuters catch a lift every day. We'll ride trains with no drivers.
This line is the first driverless subway system in Korea.
Dig new tunnels through solid rock.
Ever since the construction started, we've been constantly stressed.
Prepare for work.
West train is coming in 25 kilometers. No sleepy driving. Emergency driving.
And prepare for war.
If there was an attack, you have to attach the filter onto the mouthpiece and put the hood on straight away.
This is the subway of the future. Seoul is a megacity. The metro area is home to 25 million people. And in the center of the city, they are squeezed into only 200 square miles, making this one of the most densely populated capitals in the world. With space above ground at such a premium, there was only one solution: to create an underground rail system. And with nearly 290 subway stations serving 2.5 billion passengers every year, it's the second largest in the world.
There is very good subway network in Seoul. The total length is over 320 kilometers.
After spending more than 30 years trying to solve the city's transportation problems, Dr. Lee knows the subway is the answer.
In Seoul, our population is just over 10 million. So our daily traffic volume is over 13 million trips a day. We carried over 7 million daily passengers in Seoul. So subway is indispensable in our daily life.
Michael Aronson has been living and working in Seoul for 5 years. And like all residents, the subway is vital to his daily life. In the Seochu district to the east of Seoul, Michael is jumping on the Line 9 Express.
I've always loved the subway system here since literally the first time I rode on it, just because of how clean and bright and cheap and fast it is. I come from New York, and the Manhattan subway system is pretty awful in comparison. It's dark, it's dirty, it smells, it's narrow, there are lots of delays. It's not a very pleasant experience, and it's more expensive than it should be.
Korea has bet heavily on a future driven by technology and the internet. So even though Michael is currently 70 feet below ground and traveling at more than 60 miles per hour, he's still connected.
Korea is one of the most technologically advanced societies. I think something like 99% of the population owns a cell phone or a smartphone. So one of the really cool things is all the trains have Wi-Fi. You're never at a loss for getting a connection. You can text anyone or just watch a streaming video or movie. Hello?
But making this all possible is a workforce of more than 15,000 employees. At the heart of every station is the manager. Here at the City Hall station, it's Sim Jae-woo.
I try to show people the easiest way to use the subway. I just love my job because I'm talking to people every day. You know, we try to dress well and look our best because we meet foreigners as well as commuters every day. And we always greet them with a smile.
This obsessive attention to detail permeates the Seoul subway, from the perfectly turned out staff to the immaculately presented stations and spotless trains. The subway is something Koreans take extremely seriously, and at the Line 9 depot, one very serious group of young men are about to start a new day's work. It's shift change for the drivers.
We have 146 drivers here, including me, and 135 out of 146 are mainline drivers.
135명입니다. 서울 지하철 이용 승객이
There are a lot of people who use the subway every day in Seoul, so drivers know just how important their job is.
높게 생각하고 있습니다. Attention, bow. Hello. 65 Byung-K Park. 43 Jae-ho Kim. 96 Hwang-suk Park. 40 Bang-ho Park.
It's up to the managers to ensure that everyone is fit to drive. This ranges from the mysterious biorhythm check to the far more serious breathalyzer test. After all, a taxi driver might only carry one person. This train will have nearly 1,000.
저희가 만약에 그 해당 음주 측정을 한 결과
If we found out that the driver had been drinking last night, we send an alternative driver.
예비 기관사로 대체를 해서
But if that driver makes the same mistake again, they'd get extra training.
이라든가 이런 부분을 통해 가지고 똑같은 실수가 반복되지 않도록 지도하고 이렇게 하고 있습니다.
Extra training on top of an already extremely thorough daily test. Before each driver heads out, they have to correctly identify a series of subway signs, all with military precision.
Another line is coming into Sunlo. No sleepy driving. West train is coming in 25 kilometers. West train has stopped.
With the manager happy that his team is ready to go, they are sent to their positions. In the depot at the end of Line 9, Byung-Kin Park will inspect the train thoroughly before going anywhere.
네, 오늘 저는 출근을
I came to work at 11:20 a.m. today.
출근을 했어요. 총 급행과
And I'll be running the express train and local services 3 times.
3회 왕복합니다.
Stretching east to west for more than 16 miles, Line 9 is one of Seoul's newest subway lines. Every day, this line alone will carry more than 700,000 passengers. Byung-Kin can't afford to be late. With the inspection complete, it's time to roll.
돌아가는 경우
But even before it gets to the first station, there's trouble waiting on the tracks.
그거를 연속해서 2개를 리검지를 했다고.
The computer in the train failed to detect 2 tracking signals in a row. I mean, I can tell everything is fine in here, so it means that the computer received wrong information, but it stopped the train anyway, as a precaution.
얘가 안전을 위해서 잠깐 비상 정차를 했다가 제가 다시 출발을 했던 겁니다.
Until he can find the problem and confirm it with the control room, this train isn't going anywhere.
같은 경우도 제가 판단을 해가지고.
In this case, I can work out whether it is a serious problem or not and let the control room know.
The stations along the line are filling with passengers. He needs to get moving. With final confirmation from the depot that everything is okay, he's on his way. Safety and the smooth running of the system are now extremely tightly controlled, and this train is only signed off to roll once everyone is happy.
그냥 한 객실당 20m.
Every carriage in this train is 20 meters long, and there are 4 carriages. So in total, that means it's 80 meters long.
한 번에 탈 때 얼마만큼 다 많이.
It's difficult to say exactly how many people get on and off every time I stop. But during rush hour, I think there are around 200 to 300 people per carriage, and sometimes more than that.
And with a top speed of more than 60 miles per hour, it's vital that procedure is followed in the cab, even without his boss looking over his shoulder.
후보영어 80km 출발. 취급을 할 때 오취급, 잘못된 것을 취급할 경우가 있습니다. 지금 이쪽에서 보는 것처럼.
It is possible to make a mistake, because a lot of the buttons here look the same, but do totally different things.
오취급을 방지하기 위해서 저희가 한번 손으로 그것을 지적을 해갖고
So, to stop any mistakes, I point at it first, say it second, and press it third.
과정을 거쳐서 지금 현재 현대 생활은 그 대중교통을 보면요. 현대인들이
You know, Seoul is a very busy city, totally full of people.
약하게 있는 상태이기 때문에
So, during rush hour, without any public transportation, it will be total chaos.
엄청난 혼란이 올 것 같습니다. 이 도시에. 그들을 저희가 아침에 안전하고 정확하게
And I get a lot of satisfaction knowing that I can help everyone get around easily.
굉장히 보람되고 가끔 그런 걸 고마워해서 이렇게 저희한테 음료수를 건네는
Especially when I meet customers who give us cups of tea or coffee and even little thank you notes.
그럴 때마다 막 보람을 느끼고.
But this is just one 16-mile line out of nearly 200 miles across the city. Keeping this megacity moving takes a super subway network. And only 35 years ago, there was nothing at all. Coming up on Super Systems, the big guns are sent in to open up new tunnels.
And then 1 meter of rock is blasted out of each explosion.
The city needs drastic measures to prevent suicides.
Most of the incidents where people got hurt or died were from people falling in front of the train.
And a commuter is moved to song by the subway.
It's not in New York or London or Tokyo. Hardly miss them. It's the Seoul Metropolitan Subway.
With more than 25 million residents, Seoul is one of the world's largest and most densely populated cities. Seoul is the heart of the country, controlling much of the technology and manufacturing industry spread across Korea. And the most valuable assets in the city are the people and the skills they provide. Getting them to the right place at the right time is crucial. Dr. Lee has seen the country grow from third world living standards in the 1960s to one of the world's 20 largest economies today. Keeping people moving has been crucial to their success.
Korea was quite a poor country, particularly in the 1960s. Our GNP was around $80 per person.
Rapid industrialization in the 70s and 80s led to a huge increase in living standards, and with it came hundreds of thousands of cars and soul-crushing traffic. To solve these problems, a subway was built, and the first line was completed in 1974 and was swiftly followed by lines 2, 3, and 4.
However, late 80s, our population reached around 10 million. So we started to build another subway line 5, 6, 7, and 8. We invested around $1 billion a year for 10 years. So we completed by 2000.
But digging more than 180 miles of subway isn't without its risks. Tunneling under the city is extremely dangerous.
When you build tunnels like so, there are several risks. Say daylight collapse, some buildings or neighborhood, their buildings cracks, and also subsidence, and also even collapse. Particularly in early 90s, when you started subway line 5, we experienced several daylight collapses in Majangdong area and Yeongdeung-po area. Some small hospital buildings were sunk into the ground. It was very sad, but when you experience that kind of failures, we improved our tunneling technique.
But you can't halt progress. Working 80 feet below ground level, Mr. Kim Jin Pal is responsible for the creation of this mega station. A 20-foot-high tunnel opens out into a 140,000 square foot station. But scale isn't their only problem. They are tunneling under the busiest subway line in Seoul, as well as 2 stadiums and a river.
This site is the extension of Line 9. Right here is going to be station number 930. It's 3 floors high and all underground. If you look up at the light on the ceiling now, it's flashing, which means the Line 2 subway train is going through overhead right now. At the moment, 2,300,000 people use Line 2 every day. So you know it is not easy to build a new station underneath it. All the top executives and all the managers in the City Hall tell us that Line 2 should not be stopped. We're all stressed. Ever since the construction started, we've been constantly stressed.
And with good reason. Seoul is built on foundations of extremely tough granite. And the quickest digging system, blasting your way through.
We drill into the rock and then we pack explosives into the hole it leaves behind.
These gigantic machines have water-cooled drilling bits, capable of slicing through the rock with ease. Once the machines clear out, the explosives team is sent in.
We drill holes 1.2 meters deep, and then 1 meter of rock is blasted out of each explosion. That 1 meter is then piled up and taken away. Then we put up a waterproof lining and then cover it with a further 40 centimeters of concrete to finish it off.
This recently sealed tunnel is almost ready. It's just missing a few final pieces.
Now all we have to do is install the rails and put the power system on the ceiling. And then, you know, the trains can run. We work underground where it's difficult to see. The rock condition changes all the time as the construction goes on. You know, it's really dangerous.
It's taken 35 years of tunneling under Seoul to perfect the techniques that have allowed Mr. Kim to build his masterpiece.
When it's finally all finished in 2014, I am looking forward to riding this section with my family.
In less than 2 years, more than 700,000 people will be passing along this line every day. Mr. Kim has no time to waste. Korea is a country on the move, built on technology and an exploding economy. Making this astonishing growth possible is one of the most sophisticated public transport infrastructures in the world. In the capital, Seoul, the backbone is the subway. But this peaceful and prosperous country hides a dark secret. They're at war.
At the moment, you know, technically, South Korea is still at war with North Korea.
While there is an uneasy truce, no peace agreement was ever signed with North Korea. And this unique situation means Seoul needs to protect its citizens, especially in the confines of the subway.
If there was a war, this mask will help people to protect themselves from chemical weapons.
We
have been doing drills in case war broke out and the station is occupied, or even in the situation of terrorists planting bombs. If there was an attack, you have to attach the filter onto the mouthpiece and put the hood on straight away.
The other major threat is fire. In Korea, it's an especially poignant concern after 200 people in the Daegu subway lost their lives in an arson attack.
If there was a fire, this mask is designed to stop people from inhaling the toxic gases and smoke. Bear with me, it fits very tightly. As this mask is for use in fires, you have to remove the stopper so you can breathe before you use it. Then tighten the strings on your head and get as low as you can and escape as fast as you can.
But even with the constant threat of war in the back of their minds, the Seoul government can't afford to ignore the potential killers right in front of them.
Most of the incidents where people got hurt or died were from people falling in front of the train, either by accident or on purpose. When someone does go on the lines, all employees, including me, have to deal with it. I don't really feel scared when this sort of thing happens. I just feel sorry for them.
More than one person a week was jumping on the tracks and dying. It was terrifying for the staff, and it caused massive delays around the subway. In a characteristically bold move, the government decided to install platform doors across the entire system, all 328 stations. And it worked.
After we installed the screen doors, it is probably safe to say that the problem has completely gone away. And we have been feeling really bad for the people committing suicide, but now we are feeling really proud because that doesn't happen anymore.
And on the Seoul subway, they take almost as much care over people's possessions as they do over the passengers themselves. Here in the lost property offices of the City Hall station, they deal with all the lost items from Line 1. And they've just had a delivery.
He's brought lost property that people still have not come to collect from local stations. There's money, books, papers, bags, and new clothes. 215,000 won. Yeah, it is a lot of money. If we found any Korean identification card or bank cards, we would contact the bank and then would call the customers and customers call us.
And even lost property has taken on the country's obsession with the internet.
I am registering the item on lost property part of the Seoul Metro website.
The item's details are all logged into the system. A photo is taken, and all the data is put online, helping to reunite them with their careless owners.
So I have just finished uploading the picture on the internet. And now, we'll keep it in storage until the owner claims it. On average, there are 100 passengers who lost their things every day, and 60 to 70 of those are collected and sent to us. Last year, we received 24,000 lost items, and 75% of them have gone back to the owner.
But even after 33 years working for Seoul Metro, there are still a few items that surprise her.
We do sometimes get unique lost property. These are some false teeth that old folks normally use. They must have forgotten them on the subway. It has been here for 5 months so far. It came in last October. Last year, we picked the box from the station and only opened it when we got to the office. I remembered we were so shocked at that time that a live snake suddenly came out. We could not find the passenger, so we had to send it to an animal welfare institution. We did eventually find out who the passenger was. He'd been too worried to come in because it is illegal to bring a snake on the subway.
But for the everyday customer, they're just happy to get their bags back in one piece.
Here it is.
Oh yeah, that is mine.
Wait a minute, please. Can you give me your identification card, please? Yep, it is right. Can you please write your name and address?
I was really stressed. And now I'm so grateful because in the bag there's a hard drive with all the important documents that I've been working on. I've been so busy, but thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Bye.
네, 이제 그 귀중한 물론 현금도 중요하지만 귀중한 그 서류들 그런 거 잃어버리셔갖고.
It feels so good when I see the people are so pleased that we found the money or important documents that they lost.
찾아가시는 분도 기분 좋아하시고.
And you know, sometimes They try to give us drinks or cash, but of course we don't take money from the passengers.
Coming up on Super Systems, for the first time ever, the subway opens its doors to this one-of-a-kind nerve center.
It's really the head of our organization.
Seoul is the capital of South Korea, home to many of the world's technology giants. And with a population obsessed with gadgets, it's no surprise that electronics are being put to use in the lifeline of the city, the subway. Opening in 2009, Line 9 is the newest of the main lines and the most advanced of its type. Keeping the subway system running on schedule is CEO Marcelin Deroux.
The line is 27 kilometers long with 25 stations, and we have around 400,000 passengers per day, which is one of the most overcrowdedness line in Seoul, actually.
And the heart of that is the control room. It's a place so vital to the running of the city that a film crew has never before been permitted inside.
The operating control center is really the head of our organization, because everything, all the information arrives there. And also when we have some incident, because sometimes we have incident, it's also the place where the decisions are taken.
The genius of the system was to bring the controls of all the major systems from the entire line into one room. On adjacent desks sit the controllers of the power systems, the station facilities, and even the trains themselves. On this futuristic line, each train is controlled completely remotely from the comfort of these computer terminals. And making sure the trains are in the right place at the right time today is Sun Young-yoon, a driver with 25 years experience.
In terms of actually running the trains on normal days, all the trains run completely automatically using the plan that we have made and sent from the office. That is a triangle between office, drivers, and computer. The driver only needs to check that the computer has done the right thing.
To make matters worse, both express and local services run on one line. This means that hundreds of tons of high-speed trains and passengers have to overtake their slower siblings hundreds of times a day. Any mistakes would be catastrophic.
Without computer, we cannot run on the same track the common trains and express train. It's just impossible. We are running 36 trains. It means also more than 400 or 500 departures per day. So it's a huge operation. So without computer, you cannot be sure that the schedule will be followed as it is planned at the beginning. Without computer, it's just impossible.
But moving more than 500,000 people up and down Line 9 every day requires as much power as a small town. Crucial to this are the 9 substations spread along the length of the line. In charge of ensuring they keep the trains moving is Chief Engineer Kim Hwan-gyu.
Every 3 days, our job is that we come into the substation to check lamp problems and gas pressure. Then, we jot down the information on our work notes. This is one of the 9 substations that distribute all of the electricity to Line 9. This place has 22,900 volts coming in from the Korea Electric Power Corporation, and every day uses 25,000 kilowatt hours. So compared to an average home's usage, it's 8,000 times bigger.
To keep the 36 trains running up and down the lines, this one substation is pumping out enough electricity to run 35,000 light bulbs. And converting this vast amount of electricity are 2 giant transformers running continually and one backup. But even if there was a disaster where the whole substation got knocked out, they have a backup plan.
If the Korea electric power supply suddenly stopped, nearby substations would automatically take over to make up the shortfall because all 9 subway stations are connected to each other. The system is designed to run non-stop.
With this much backup, you'd expect regular problems.
Ever since Line 9 has been running, there have been no problems in any of the substations or supplying electricity to the tracks.
But it's not just substations that need careful maintenance. The Seoul Metro carries around 7 million people every day. It also boasts a better than 99% on-time record, making it one of the most punctual as well as one of the busiest in the world. But they've had their share of problems in the past.
Maintaining the subways and railways regularly is very important for passenger safety and convenience. For example, there was an incident where a subway derailed due to insufficient maintenance. Of course, there was no one injured, but it happened because of insufficient maintenance.
SMRT runs lines 5, 6, 7, and 8 across Seoul. That's more than 90 miles of tracks and tunnels. A derailment will cost millions of dollars in lost time and repairs. They've developed a new high-tech secret weapon to make sure this doesn't happen again. At the Line 5 depot, Chief Engineer Mr. Kim Joo-jin is giving his equipment a tech check.
This train is used to check all the facilities in Line 5 tunnels. People don't really think about how this train works even though they use it every day. However, there are a variety of different special functions designed for passenger safety and improving the surroundings.
The biggest problems crop up when there's trouble on the tracks.
After trains are running on the railways for years, the rails can be cracked or the supports can be broken. This camera records continuously and sends video to computer in the control room as the train checks the tunnels. This camera is used to inspect the rails themselves and condition of the tunnels. The infrared LED has a strobe function and is flashing exactly the same speed as the camera that is taking pictures 15 times a second. Also, there are 2 cameras installed on the top of the train to check the top of the tunnel. Those cameras work at the same time as the others.
But even with the millions of individual photos they take of the lines every day, they aren't taking any chances. Once a week, in the middle of the night, an engineer will walk the entire length of the line to check for anything the electronic eyes have missed. But the rails aren't the only bits of the subway system that can fail. Every subway train is built out of thousands of parts, and at the heart of each one is its inverter.
Compared to a car, it does almost the same thing as the engine. But unlike the car, this train's engine consists of 8 parts. And when it is broken, we have to stop the train and all the passengers will have to get off.
The inverter's main role is to convert the DC current in the lines back to AC power for the motors on board. The huge currents at work here generate large magnetic fields, and any pieces of metal that get pulled into the system from the ground could fry the electronics.
It normally receives 1500 volts DC to operate. In a word, if a little iron or foreign substance went in, it would discharge automatically and the inverter would be instantly stopped. So, to find and clean out anything that shouldn't be there, we pull the inverter out and clean it with compressed air. Then, as you can see, we do a visual check to see if any of the parts have moved or dislodged. If there are minor faults in any other mechanisms, the whole train will still run. But if this is out of order, the subway would stop immediately. It is a very important device. The most important device. The inspection is finishing up now, so all that's left is the test driving.
Despite 10 years spent investing more than $10 billion, by 2004, congestion in Seoul was costing their economy more than $6 billion per year. Seoul had to fix the problem, and they were going to do it the only way they knew how: more technology. The Transit Authority installed GPS units in every bus, so each driver could see how far they were from the others, ensuring an even spread along the route. And they introduced the T-Money card, a wireless payment system integrated into gadgets, bank cards, and key rings. Now, all public transportation can be paid for from a single card, and the city can work out which buses and trains are used the most and adapt schedules and routes accordingly. But congestion wasn't the only problem from cars. The city decided that the noise and air pollution was getting unbearable too. The covered Cheonggyecheon stream that ran through the center of the city was due for a huge facelift.
This area was completely underground, So there was very wide street, wide road, and also elevated highway.
By the 60s, pollution had completely killed the stream, so they buried it and built a huge expressway to feed the growing metropolis.
So this area was backbone highway connects city center to the outer area. So it was the symbol of industrial age of Seoul.
But by the new millennium, Korea was rapidly moving from the dirty industrial age to a cleaner information era, and they wanted their capital city to reflect that.
There was a big debate when you decide to restore this river, because you have to remove the wide road and the elevated highway to connect the city center to the outer area. Everybody wants a traffic disaster.
But the phantom gridlock never materialized. Seoul appeared to have done the impossible. They'd turned back the rising tide of the car.
Everybody talk about restoration and the sustainability in the city center, but we showed as actual work. So this is a new way to revitalize the major city from underground to the surface and sunshine to the underground.
Bold moves have transformed the center of Seoul from another smoggy city to a paradigm of urban development. Coming up on Super Systems, the first driverless line in Korea reveals its secrets.
This line is the first driverless subway system in Korea.
On the 450-mile-long peninsula to the east of China, South Korea has developed quickly, moving from an agricultural economy to an industrial one in a single generation. They are now establishing themselves as a technology giant. And the beating heart of the new economy is the Gangnam district. But even this area south of the river is outgrowing itself, and the government decided to build Pango, a new high-tech town on the outskirts of the city. And linking it to Gangnam is a very high-tech train.
The government makes this line from Gangnam, which is like the best, the most like a crowded area in Seoul, to connect to the Pango new town. Our line is like 17.3 kilometers long, and we operate like 60 minutes, 50 seconds at a single trip.
It's also the fastest line in the South Korean metro, running at 70 miles per hour. But that isn't what makes this train so special.
This line is the first driverless subway system in Korea. So we have a driver, but he's not driving. He's just doing for the customer service. To make driverless operation, the signal has to be transmitted from the train to the OCC. There are two antennas inside the train, here station here. And this antenna sends the signal to access points, which are located every 225 meters in the tunnel. OCC staff can see the train works. So every information of the train is going through these two antennas.
The real drivers of the trains are these racks of servers in the stations and control rooms. Computers monitor every aspect of the trains, from the closing of the doors to the speed of every one. But it doesn't stop people from worrying.
Before the launch of this line, citizens are worried about the driverless system, and they usually ask where is the driver. But as time goes by and after the opening, it's safer and it's a convenience. The people, they have a confidence of safety.
Part of their confidence is knowing that humans still have final override from a secret control station. But the reality is that human error has cost many lives on the tracks.
From the statistics of the Korean safety, more than 60% of accidents caused by human errors. So this driverless system is very more safer. So that's why we introduced this a system in Korea. Over the world is changing into the driverless system. A computer cannot sleep. Even though computer can out of order, we have backup systems. The computer is never sleep.
But the drivers elsewhere in Seoul don't seem to share the enthusiasm for driverless systems.
Yeah, about that. It depends. I don't know, after 100 or 200 years. But as long as I'm alive, it would be very hard. At present, there are only few places in the world, including South Korea, where there are automatic subways running without drivers.
I have been working as a subway driver for more than 25 years. I've been very proud of what I've been doing. However, as a lot of things are changing every day, there might be no need for drivers at all in the future. When I think about it, I get very sad. But I think in the future, it will happen. There will be a time when drivers are no longer needed. Like I said, it is a possibility.
Whether the future drivers will be humans or computers remains to be seen. The success of the subway has been realized using the strengths of both.
I've been working for Seoul Metro for 27 years. I love being kind and nice to the passengers, helping them out every day. That's why I've been working here for such a long time. Yep, it always feels like my home. I'm as happy to come to work as if I was going to a picnic.
The subway was conceived in the 1970s to serve the city and its inhabitants, but it became so vital that it's now started to mold the city too.
The subway shaped the city itself. City develops alongside the subway lines and also subway station. Subway station becomes neighborhood center.
When a new station was built, the area would be transformed. Skyscrapers would rise from empty lots, and on average, property prices would more than double.
Yes, city-shaped subway line. However, but in other way, subway line shaped the city itself, I think. As a world prominent city, Seoul is a regional center now, but I think and I hope we will get to the Premier League.
It's clear that if we're talking about the standard of quality, Seoul is one of the highest in the world. If you take some Korean cities and you put that in Paris, they will feel that the metro in Paris is so ugly and so dusty and whatever. And I think it's a couple between the transport standard and the level of quality expected by the customers. Here, not only the subway, but everything is a high level of quality, so of services and quality. Everything here in Korea. So the subway needs to be at the same level than all the other services.
And it's this one-of-a-kind quality that has led daily commuter Michael Aronson to immortalize the subway the only way he knew how.
I love the subway so much that I decided to write a song about it. It goes a little something like this. I've been all around the world, ridden many a subway train, but only one so near perfect I can hardly complain.
It's so simple for people who hide